In 1893, the Gotham World Fair was finally ready to begin. People would come from far and wide to experience the wonders made available to them. The new Ferris wheel, the numerous oddities, the futuristic advances in science and society. On the cusp of this monumental event, Inspector James Gordon was up for promotion. His performance and hard work in the Gotham Police had earned him the rank of police commissioner. With this promotion came new responsibilities and new stresses. Gordon was especially worried because of the Gotham World Fair. The prospect of people coming from all over the globe to experience it overwhelmed him. Gordon knew that there would be plenty of respectable people, but he also knew there would be many who were not. Pickpockets, confidence men, and criminals of all sorts looking to make a profit. Gordon had quite the collection of achievements: the arrest of Jerome Henshaw, quelling the riot of 1892, and helping bring an end to the reign of the Ripper. In spite of these remarkable achievements, Gordon was still human. He still felt the weight of it all. He wondered if he was up to the task, but he also knew that he had an ally in all of it. Gordon knew he could rely on the help of the Batman. As final preparations began the week before the fair was to take place, the Gotham City Council convened to finalize preparations. The new fairgrounds had already completed construction. All that was left was to finalize what shows, acts, and exhibitions would be assured a slot during the fair. These proceedings were spearheaded by Mayor Tolliver. Tolliver was very vocal to the council that he wanted nothing to do with such farces as Wild West exhibitions or similar acts. Tolliver wanted the Gotham World Fair to focus on the future, the progress that was being made and that would be made. This stance made many city councilors uncomfortable. They were dubious that the fair would even bring in the crowds and profit Tolliver claimed it would. One such doubter was Rupert Thorne, the city treasurer. Thorne was very vocal that he thought Tolliver's mindset would bring them nothing but problems. Mayor Tolliver reprimanded him and everyone who shared Thorne's viewpoint. He claimed that looking to the future was exactly what the city needed, that it would entrance the masses. During Tolliver's rant, he was suddenly interrupted by a voice interjecting from behind him. A man had suddenly appeared standing in the council room window. This man wore a military garb of some kind, complete with a cloak and a sword. The man berated the councilors for claiming to know what the future was. He stated that they were nothing but daydreamers, confidence men looking to swindle the masses. Tolliver demanded to know who the man was. The man stated that his name was Alexander Leroy, and that he was the master of your future. This was met by scoffing, but before anyone could respond, Leroy continued. He told them that he demanded to be named the master of Gotham City, or he would burn it to the ground using the power of the sun. As Leroy gave them these terms, the police began to move to arrest him. Before they could reach him, however, Leroy leapt from the window out into the open air. As the police ran to the window, 2 stories above the ground, they could find no trace of Leroy. He had seemingly vanished into thin air. Numerous city officials and others had witnessed this occurrence. Bruce Wayne, James Gordon, and Ian Ashton were among those present at the time. Bruce Wayne found it worrying. The rise of so-called supercriminals in Gotham lent credence, however little, to Leroy's claims. This worry weighed heavy on Bruce's mind as he went out to dinner with his latest romantic partner, Julie Madison. Julie was an old friend of his from Gotham's socialite circle. Her father had been the owner of the first rubber factory in Gotham. It had grown him a fortune over the years, and he had been friends with Thomas and Martha Wayne. Bruce and Julie had met as children. Julie had only recently returned from time abroad, and Bruce hadn't seen her in years. The reason that Bruce had not pursued a relationship with Selina Kyle was twofold. As Bruce had continued his nightly crusade as the Batman, his strict moral code had alienated him from Selina. The other reason was that Selina's pursuits, some of them not strictly legal, made Bruce uncomfortable. The two had decided a relationship was not in their best interests. And so, with a reintroduction and a few encounters, Bruce and Julie had begun seeing each other. Julie was a very intelligent person. Her wealth had helped her pursue philanthropic avenues. Where most in her position tended towards greed and power, she sought only to make Gotham a better place. This desire of hers was what drew Bruce to her. In light of the recent intrusion by Alexander Leroy, Bruce voiced some of these worries to Julie. She listened, then told him that everything would be all right. She thought that Leroy may have been nothing but a madman. Bruce reluctantly agreed, trying to put it out of his mind. James Gordon, on the other hand, had his hands full. Tolliver had pointedly instructed him to keep Leroy out of the fair altogether, as well as prepare for any possible threats he might pose. Gordon begrudgingly set to work. If nothing else, he would strive to keep the people of Gotham safe, as well as the tourists that would be arriving soon. In an office in the heart of Gotham, Alexander Leroy met with a shadowy benefactor. The two schemed about the plan that Leroy would unfold at the start of the Gotham World Fair. This mysterious benefactor had made Leroy's vision a possibility. Using the financial support of his patron, Leroy had built an airship. This airship was outfitted with a full living quarters, multiple rope ladders, and a device of Leroy's machinations. Leroy's benefactor, having studied the work of Frederick William Herschel, helped him to design a pair of magnifying lenses that were massive in proportion. They were each 12 feet in diameter and positioned within the airship itself. They were designed to work in tandem to focus light into a concentrated beam. As the Gotham World Fair drew ever closer, Leroy's anticipation grew as well. The first day of the fair, Tolliver and other members of the city council were in high spirits. Gotham had seen an influx of tourists over the course of the previous week, something that Tolliver had correctly assumed would occur. Bruce Wayne and Julie Madison planned to attend the opening ceremony, and arrived early to the new fairgrounds the day of. Commissioner Gordon was fraught with worry on his end. Numerous panicking people had contacted the authorities, stating that there was a large object in the sky. The mayor still seemed unconcerned by the threats Leroy had made. Tolliver wanted his fair no matter the dangers. Gordon instructed his men to be on constant watch for any threats, but they did not know what they were looking for. The police were too few in number to be everywhere during the fair. As Tolliver prepared for the opening ceremony of the fair, he was completely unaware of the looming threat. Tolliver's window suddenly shattered as Leroy leaped into the room. Leroy shot Tolliver's attendant in the head, and pointing his gun at the mayor, instructed him to follow. Leroy led Tolliver to the window where a rope ladder was waiting. The two men arrived within Leroy's airship, where Leroy began showing his captive around its interior. While he did this, the airship began to move over the new Gotham Fairgrounds. Leroy eventually led Tolliver to the main bridge of the airship. There he showed Tolliver the crown jewel of this contrivance, the twin magnifying lenses. The airship was being piloted by an advanced automaton, one that Leroy's benefactor had devised. It could perform the basic function of holding the wheel and turning it upon receiving input from a telegraph station. Leroy showed Tolliver a set of controls. One of the buttons was marked Engage. Tolliver watched on in horrified fascination as Leroy pressed it. The fairgoers below were completely unawares as a beam of focused light shone down on a pavilion within the fairgrounds. Hundreds watched in terror as the pavilion burst into flames with people still inside. Bruce Wayne and Julie Madison also witnessed this. Bruce's shock turned to anger at the sudden attack. He hearkened back to Leroy's threat of striking with the power of the sun. He didn't know how, but Bruce knew Leroy was behind this somehow. On the airship, Tolliver protested the attack in horror. Leroy ignored him as the airship moved over the central building of the fair, where Tolliver's opening address was to be. Leroy pushed Tolliver out of an opening in the airship, and the mayor plummeted. With the shattering of glass, everyone inside the building watched Tolliver impact. The mayor of Gotham died instantly. Bruce Wayne also witnessed this catastrophe, becoming further enraged. As this occurred, the airship continued setting things ablaze. Alfred, who always packed a spare batsuit for Bruce, retrieved it and brought it to him. Bruce donned the suit and grabbed a prototype hang glider from a fair display. The Batman climbed to the top of the main building and, using the heat from the spreading fires, glided towards the airship. After crashing through a window in the airship, the Batman engaged Leroy in combat. In the scuffle, Leroy's automaton was damaged, and the airship began to go down. The two continued fighting while the airship fell towards Gotham Bay. The Batman managed to reach his glider and exit the airship before it crashed. Leroy remained trapped on the airship. His body was later found in the bay. The aftermath of Leroy's attack left the people of Gotham shaken, but this did not stop the fair. Deputy Mayor Quincy Sharp stepped up to lead the city and the fair through this time. The fair would continue as planned in honor of Tolliver. Both Commissioner Gordon and the Batman suspected that Leroy had received aid from a benefactor. Just who that benefactor was remained a puzzling mystery. Leroy's attack may have been a major threat to Gotham and its citizens, but he would not be the last during the duration of the fair. Some threats would be more evident than others, but the Batman would keep a sharp eye out. He was learning to expect the unexpected. Gotham and its tourists would do their best to enjoy the fair. Most would, while others would encounter unspeakable horrors. Either way, the Gotham World Fair had officially commenced.